Hey, it's the man of the hour. Thank you so much, Jess Born Poet,
Hey,
here with us to
hi, Jack.
start off the
Good to see you.
evening. Thanks for being here. I'm so excited that you're here. Really excited
Good to
to
be
be
here.
able to share with everybody a little bit more about you and your story.
I have a pretty interesting story in the fact that like I left home really early. I was one of the first kids downtown. I was like 13 years old, full time downtown Westlake, sleeping under the in Westlake Park. Climbing fire escapes. So maybe get into like my childhood a little bit, and then I kind of found my escape through art. At the age like 17, same corner, Fourth and Pine. My family, my parents met on Third and Pine. Like I'm real Seattle downtown. Like I was born downtown. And so, homeless kid, living out of my backpack, met up with a lot of other kids. We kind of just ran the streets as much as we want, no curfews, no place to really go, climb buildings. We used to sleep in recycling bins, like the whole nine. Like Poeina goes back pretty far. Like it was different days back then. But
Yeah, we met
I
shortly after that, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I was a little older, but yeah, I was in my 20s already. But I kind of got, but like, yeah, then, became an artist, a real serious, poet. I don't want to like, I want to say I'm a writer, but I write a lot of poetry, write a lot of things, but I write a lot of poetry. I don't write a lot of poetry. I write a lot of copywriting stuff now for business stuff. But when I get to write poetry, I sure love to. That's kind of my passion. So did that solid for 10 years, didn't do anything else. And I broke out of the poetry circles. Like it was like early on that I realized that I don't really like poetry that much. No offense to any of you or the writers, but it's like I can only listen to my own voice. I can only listen to my own voice for maybe 2, maybe 3 minutes before I start to go, okay, it's getting a little doldrum. You have to add more to the show to make it a little bit more funny. And even I realized that, but I knew that like the poetry slam circle wasn't for me. I knew that I wanted to be part of the hip hop scene. So I joined up with a group at the time called Old Dominion, and I knew a rapper named Kid Sensation. And between them, like I kind of got my, Kid Sensation was the first studio I used to hang out at, and then I got my fill listening to music. And I never really crossed over to writing rap, but I just I wanted to do my poetry with them. I thought the rappers were way cooler than the poets, and so I started opening up all the Old Dominion shows, closing out all the Old Dominion shows. Oh, and Old Dominion was hot during that time, so they were opening up for Snoop and Roswell and the Roots and Hieroglyphics and like
Yo,
all the names came through town. It's basically like I got to open up all those sets. Lauryn Hill,
Yeah.
just like down the list. Like I got a nice list of shows that I got to open up, and I got to close out the Old Dominion set, which meant I was the last person on stage right before the headliner got to come out. So great
And I
honor to
was
get to tour
a
with those
fan
guys.
too of Old Dominion. I was a fan as like a street kid in Seattle. I thought Old Dominion was like the coolest thing ever. And then when I met Jesse, and he introduced me to the Old Dominion crew. That's what kind of put me on a whole trajectory that I've ended up doing. I don't know. There's at least 10 albums up on this wall of hip hop that I've
And
done because of Jesse just introducing me
how
to
many people?
them. Wow.
Thanks, bro. It was because of her, though. It was because of you, actually. But I was like, look at her. Let me show you her. But yeah, I'm sure that goes both ways. They have such a great deep respect for you. So, you know, I was quite successful as a poet during those years, and so I actually had kids really young, 5 kids in about span like 6 years. I really had no idea what I was doing, had no mentorship, really no like real guidance at all, and I thought that was what the thing was to do. So once that kind of started to hit home, I said, you know what, I'm gonna figure out a way to make money and take care of my kids, and I'll get back to the poetry when they're all grown up, And so that's what I did. At 27, I really turned a corner, and I started working as a hotel concierge. I worked for Pan Pacific, as a walk-on. And the only reason why they would hire me at a 4-star hotel, a hood rat, is because I knew the city better than anybody. I knew every alley,
yeah.
every back street, every side street, every restaurant, I knew everything about downtown. And so they had to hire me. They gave me that job. And in 3 years, I had the lady who hired me, I had her job. I was chef concierge of the Pan Pacific in the 2200s and
There you go.
2200 condos. And then I went from there to the Four Seasons. They were building a brand new Four Seasons in Seattle. Now that's Seattle's first 5-star hotel, whole nother league. And I was like, well, this is my thing. So I threw my hat in the game and I got that job. Like American Idol. Like I got 1 out of 500. There was 500 applicants for 2 positions, and I got one of those.
Wow.
So,
That's
again,
awesome.
like, and during that time, that really gave me the key to the city, gave me a chance to really like things I never would have ever done in my life. Now I'm at Benaroya Hall. Now I'm at the Fifth Avenue Theater. Now I'm doing wine tours and doing all these things I never would have ever imagined that I would be doing. And I'm just sharing it with my friends so I can bring people. So I bring everybody in my circle. Like everyone's coming to stuff. Everyone's getting to eat out. Everyone's going to these, fancy restaurants. And we literally can't even afford like the tip. Like the tip that like on the bill that they're giving you for free, if they're treating you for free, like the tip is more than you could really afford, stuff like that. So it's just like
going somewhere at it was a boat arena or something when you had that job, and you were like, oh, because people wanted you to go hang out in their places because then you would recommend it to the hotel guests and stuff. So I remember one of those dinners you were like, okay, it'll be free, but prepare to bring some money for tip. I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, that's what it is. And so through that, I had the kind of the hot hand in the city for a while, if you would. But I was never, I wouldn't, to me, corporate was just another role that you had. It was like a thing to get through a thing, right? I knew that I was never going to be doing that forever. I'm a free-spirited artist. I love making my own way. I'm creative. But I did learn everything I could about the structure of how they did that, how they would get people so uniformed and keep these marks. And I took that page out of the book, so to speak. But I took those pages out of the book and I was like, okay, you can apply that to any company model and make it like a cut above other places. If you have that service element to what you do. So I took that with me. And then I said, okay, right at the pinnacle of my concierge, notoriety, I'm getting all these great reviews, everything's going good. And I was like, I quit. I'm going to start a food truck. And everyone's like, what? You're going to give up the 4 seasons to go start a roach coach?
How long were you a concierge for? 10 years? Okay.
Yeah. And so, they were like, you're gonna quit this to go start a roach coach? A roach coach. I was like, roach coach.
Wow, bro.
This is right when food trucks were just opening up in Seattle. And I actually read it. I had no interest in culinary, anything prior to that. But then when reading that Seattle was opening up its restrictions on food trucks and then seeing what Portland and cities like Austin were doing, I was like, we're going to follow in suit. And so I'm going to jump on this. And so I actually, it just timing was amazing. I met a person, I fell in love. And then she was like the feather in Dumbo's trunk or whatever that made him think he could fly or whatever. I was like, I think I can branch out on my own. And with her, and then we started My Sweet Little Cakes. And so that was, the beginning of something brand new. I told everybody before we opened, we're going to be a 5-star dessert restaurant. They're like, what are you doing? You don't have any idea what you're doing. You never made dessert. And nobody had ever made these. I invented something new. So I came up with these custom waffle irons that are cast in the shape of corn dogs, right? And each one, it's top and bottom. So you can pour any kind of batter you want. You're not stuck to like a box brand. We don't use anything. Everything from scratch. So from like red velvet, chocolate superfood cake. We have vegan, gluten-free, cinnamon waffle batter. We have all kinds of things. And you can pour any batter in those, and then you set a stick in it. Then you fill them up with ingredients. So like more than a hot dog's worth. You can put like actual, we do a seasoned and slow-baked free-range chicken breast. And the batter we use is just a golden brown waffle batter. So when you close it, turn it over like a waffle iron, wait 3 minutes, bring it out. It's like a big corn dog, but it's not a corn dog. It's chicken and waffle. And you dip it in maple butter, or you same principle for all of them. So you got savory ones with bacon, cheese, jalapeno. You got cornbread. So if you guys ever looked at the Sweet Cakes brand, we took a page out of the atomic era. We were like 1950s, 1940s, 1950s atomic era. It just smells like pancakes, doesn't it? Don't you just think of Leave It to Beaver, White Expensive Pancakes? I was like, okay, pancakes. What's going to sell pancakes better than the 40s and 50s in the atomic era? And so jumped on that. I'm really happy we did because it saved us probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in branding because everybody recognized that, that 50s, so we did the bow ties, we did the soda jerk hats, we did the aprons. I basically did like what they did at the Four Seasons. I gave them all uniforms, like real uniforms. And, but we're in a food, and so that really differentiated us, set us apart, and also our standard of our quality of service. I mean, like when they say that the employees really do make the company, the employees really do make the company. We call our employees charmers, and they literally like whether it's on the clock, off the clock, together when we're just together, like if somebody like I'll turn to grab something and it's like 2 of them are coming at me like here, scissors. Like everyone's bringing me what I need at that time already because we're always anticipating each other's needs, anticipating the needs of our customers, and just like always trying to give it 100% of that service quality. And what you see now reflected 7 years later in our reviews. Like you see, a multiple 5-star reviews, no matter what platform you look on, we are at that 4.8, whatever star review, because we really care about customer satisfaction. So I went from, sorry, go ahead.
I have a question. I have a question about, well, one, I know that your sons have worked with you, but have your daughters also worked with you in the food truck? That's question one. And question two is, I want to know, like, how have things changed since your food truck was stolen? I mean, what have you been, what do you do? I mean, your business, I mean, were the machines taken? Was everything taken?
Some of our inventory, I'll start with the first question first. So my oldest son, Elijah, has been, he was a backbone of My Sweet Little Cake's success for 4 years. From about 2014 until about 2018, Elijah was just my full-time, part-time, on-call, my right-hand man. I mean, like, he did it all for me. So, from whipping batters, help me with store runs to service. And it was a really great thing. A lot of us, people don't always have parents in their lives. I don't have a dad in my life. My dad's a lifer, so getting to spend that time, and I never had a dad to spend that kind of time with me growing up. And so to get to spend that kind of time with my son, under the circumstances where we're actually making money and making people happy and doing something positive, it's been like the greatest experience that you could ever even imagine. I mean, I feel like if the book closed today, which, hopefully it won't, but if the book closed today, I feel like it was still a major, major success for what it allowed me to accomplish in my life. So,
I definitely, that was something that it made me just have so much respect for you and just really look up to you as, like, kind of like a local hero in a sense, because, like, I feel like, with everything that you've been faced and all of your challenges that you've had to deal with, you've been able to figure out a way and persevere and be able to be that kind of example to your kids, even though you didn't get to have your dad in your life because of all of that and the institutionalism that happened with, all of that stuff. Like, the fact that you were able to, like, go from where you went to be able to build this company where you could, have your kids participate and all that. I looked up to that so much. And, I love stories like that. I feel like people love stories like that,
we heard that a lot too. I mean, I think that, like, while we're on that magic carpet ride, we both realized it. Like, this is special. Like, this is different. What we're getting to do, is unique. And I think it made us both real happy. As far as the other kids, Elijah expressed the most direct interest. It was at the perfect age when that happened. But I must say, my nephew, Jermaine, who is also very much like a son to me, he has been, like, probably, like, the longest. I think he actually started before Elijah, and he continued. He's my longest standing employee of anybody in the whole company. He's just been
that's so
phenomenal, cool. Phenomenal person to have. He hasn't been there all the time. He goes, does school and does work and does, he's been through college and stuff, but always comes back around and helps me out with sweet cakes. Jermaine's been here for pretty much the life of the company, I think, after, like, year one. And also, Raven has served many, like I say, probably at least 2 dozen events with us as well. So yeah, the kids have hopped in.
Your youngest daughter, right? She's the youngest.
She's my youngest daughter, yes.
The baby.
Oh man, so it's the family business. There's nothing better. There's nothing better.
And actually, shout out, today is Nadia's 20th birthday, so I have a 20-year-old today.
Oh wow!
Happy birthday!
That's amazing.
So then I guess back to
I had a question. So, how many employees do you have? Like, is it just your kids that work for you, or do you have additional employees?
Okay, so good question. So how we do it is, I have an army of on-call employees. We use a platform, an app platform, which allows me to post events, and then all of the charmers can respond if they would like to go and attend that event. Cool. It has all the details. And since we're catering only, we kind of know exactly what we're getting into. We know exactly what the time span of the event will be and how long breakdown will take. So I can be pretty accurate in their time schedule, and they can just decide whether they want to come or not. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure. choosing a level of involvement.
That's cool.
To answer your question, I'd say on call, I probably have 30 employees. I think the biggest event requirement that we've ever had, there was a Microsoft event that I think required 1 hour service for 600 people, and I think we brought 14 employees that day, all uniformed and trained, ready to go. So
wow, and the uniforms are so cute. Like, they're so adorable. They look so sharp and clean.
And I think that's just one of the things right there. Strategic mindset in that business setup. That's that low overhead. That's knowing exactly what you're doing with the catering. I love it, man. I love the garage. It's beautiful to see. So wait, back to the question though, like the main one of the hour. What happened with the food truck?
Yeah. So we were just lucky enough to be selected by the Downtown Seattle Association to be the kind of predecessor to the donut hole guy. Now, if you're from Seattle, every year they do this downtown Westlake tree lighting ceremony. And across the street from that is Westlake Park, where they have a holiday carousel. And as far back as I can remember, they had the donut guy, right? The donut hole guy comes down from Canada and slangs these donut holes. And I think that Seattle's just, with the changing times, with supporting local small businesses, we were lucky enough to have them reach out to us and say, hey, look, we want you guys to be the only food truck down there this winter. So we were like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. So we got it geared up, went down there. It was a really great opportunity as far as from a PR marketing visibility standpoint. I think it was a win. And but during that time, we came out of the catering cave, and we've been announcing our whereabouts. We've been really promoting this, come down, support us. We're here between this time, that time. And my guess is that, like, just in that, and people kind of seeing us coming out again, is probably possibly where somebody got the idea. Like, look, it'd be easy to prey on this trailer. So we, I came outside to find the trailer gone, and of course I had to rewind the previous day in my mind, like, what the heck just happened? Did somebody move it? Am I tripping? Did I forget where I parked it? But it soon came evidence that the trailer was gone, and we lost at time some generator equipment, a couple of irons, and just a whole bunch of just odds and ends of service equipment. Now, it's not enough that it would stop us from service. We still have, enough to move forward, still doing catering. But the issue is with COVID, which came right at the same time, just after that COVID hit. And then at that time, catering was flatlined. And so then with the, the rebirth, when people are coming back out and getting back to work, what we're seeing is that many more people that are appreciative of the social distancing aspect of a food truck. So we have another service style, which is our mobile waffle bars. We can serve using our mobile waffle bars, but some people are really in love right now with the idea of a truck just coming up, making food, dishing it out, and taking off. And so I think for that reason, more actually an increase in requests for the trailer and a decrease in requests for mobile waffle bar.
Wow. Wow.
So it's like you're missing a lot of opportunities then, just right now, even especially because
if you look at our year over year growth and projections, and then where we're actually at, it's flatlined since the COVID hit and since we lost our trailer.
I'm
sorry to hear that for you.
We've been selling popcorn.
Yeah, I actually was telling them about that beforehand. That I had told, who had I told? I told someone, he's literally been selling popcorn since all this stuff happened. And they were like, is that slang for something? Like, what does that mean? He's selling popcorn. And I'm like, no, he's literally selling popcorn right now to support him and his family. Of course I believe you can do anything because, you're such a creative person and such a creative business owner. I'm sure you could be successful at anything. But so I think it's amazing that you just kind of stepped it up and figured out something else to do. But, definitely I believe in My Sweet Little Cakes. I think it's such a great company. I think it could expand nationwide. I think it has so much potential. So I definitely I want to see it, get back on its feet again for sure,
Absolutely. So do we. So do
Well,
we. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Jesse. So I think one of the most amazing things about your story is, and it's really anyone who goes through this trial by fire, what is it within that spirit of yours and that heart of yours that keeps it so pure and kind and loving and optimistic during all these wild, tumultuous times? Loaded question.
Wow.
Sorry.
It's a good
very,
question.
that's a very loaded question. I don't know that my heart is that as described. I think that I just being honest. I think what it is I'm tenacious and I'm optimistic and
Yeah.
I know that there's value in effort that I'm putting forward, even if I'm not getting it at the time. I understand the concept of reaping what you sow, putting in something now and getting to gain from it later. And so I think that that's always been what it is that, I mean, when you start out in life with nothing, when you start out in life with less than nothing, right? And you come from that point, you're comfortable in the chaos. I don't think from an emotional standpoint, it doesn't affect me the way that it would affect some people. Like some people would feel a more emotional attachment to the loss than I can tell you that I felt. I, of course, want to succeed in the business. Of course, it was like that trailer was named after my grandmother. It was like it took me like 2 months later before it finally hit me. And I was like looking at pictures and I felt it. I was like, oh, there it is. There's that loss. There's that sadness. But initially,
but it took you months before you even told me that the food truck was stolen, because and then when you finally called and told me about it, you were just like, I didn't want to say, I wanted to figure it out. But it was just at that point you were so bummed, and actually was like, we're going to fundraise and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And he was like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Putting my heart on the line. And I was like, we're doing it. We're doing it. I was like, you'll see. People are going to love you and want to support you. And they have been. And we've raised, how much have we raised so far?
$3,723, I believe.
So far.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to go up. It's just only going to go
Yeah,
up.
and that's
good, Rob. Thank
with
you
no
so much.
PR
Thank
so
you.
far. Yeah, that's just been
Thank
with
you
us
so much, Rob.
posting it on Twitter and Facebook and things like that. So we're really hoping that through this Raise the Cake show that, we'll get more people interested and aware of the company and aware of the situation and understand who you are. I think you're worth knowing. So I can't wait for more people to hear about you.
Your life is a movie.
We need to raise the cake.
Your life is a movie, yo. So I think that's one of the things, like when you were just going through, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this would be a brilliant screenplay. Because again, like how early was it when you were on the streets? Like how old were you?
13. 89 is when I left. Yeah.
Dang,
and
man.
so I don't tell people my age, but you can do the math. I gave it away. But yeah, it started back then. Like I would knock on doors. I found this old rusty lawnmower. Matter of fact, you want to hear a quick cool story? So I found a lawnmower that was all in some blackberry bushes, and I got it out of the blackberry bushes and somehow managed to get it started. It was all rusty. And I was like, okay, now that was the moment that lawnmower started, I heard ching ching. I was like, oh, this is my entrepreneur spirit went off. I was like, I pictured like 50 lawnmowers and a fleet of kids pushing for me. Like it happened immediately, like the first time I ever started a lawnmower. And so I'd go door to door and I'd really ask people where, if I could mow their lawn. And I had a couple people I'd come and, I didn't have a real home, a real place to stay. But whenever I come through that neighborhood or go to my friend's house, I if I had my lawnmower, it was a neighborhood where I had my lawnmower stashed. I stashed it back in the bushes where I found it. And so I put my lawnmower out on the lawns, and that was how I make $7, $8, $9. Well, knocked on one door, and Ken Griffey Jr. answered it. His first year on the Mariners.
Get
True
out
story,
of town!
right?
Wow.
I know this story.
And so he brought me into town. How much you charge? I'm like, $8, $10. He's like, looks at my shoes, they're all torn up. He's like, yeah, $20 a week will be good. I'll get you paid. So he pays me. He writes down his phone number on a card, signs it, and gives it to me. And yeah, I'm like, yeah, my life changed. I was like, because you understand, I had nothing at this point. Nothing. No, even people didn't. I'm not saying they didn't want to be my friend, but I was never popular. I never was like the in crowd or any of that type of stuff. And so like Ken Griffey Jr. just gave me his phone number. So it didn't just end there, but like his entourage of friends kind of moved here from Cincinnati, and these guys took me in, all of them. So they kind of like raised me. So Ken, Station, this guy Obadiah, Corky, Frank, Les, this group of guys were Ken Griffey Jr.'s entourage from Ohio that moved here because Ken was 18 or 19. And those guys, and I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, those guys, I was under their wing, basically. I don't want to say they couldn't get rid of me. Now I'm under their wing, but back then they couldn't get rid of me. I was just like, so yeah, that was that was my first kind of like, okay, like anything in life is possible, like anything is possible, because to go from like where I was to hanging out with those guys that I became friends with.
So you moved in with your lawnmower?
Say it again.
So you moved in with Ken Griffey with your lawnmower?
Yeah. We didn't loosen the door. They couldn't keep me out. Like I said, I would scale like the second floor and be in the window and just sleep in his guest room. And they'd come home and find me. I'm like, well, how the hell did he get in here? That's a story nobody knows. No, it's a story nobody knows. I'm lucky. As a matter of fact, I talked to Ken not too long ago, and it was nice because I think he forgives me and he understands, and like we're still cool. He's still my big brother. So yeah, I was lucky. Him and his friends too. Make no mistake about it. He came from a group of guys who were really great guys, and they probably set me. At least they showed me there was another course from what I was seeing. I saw it distinctly in them. There's another way, and it can't happen and all that stuff. So that gave me a lot of faith as a teenager that I could achieve.
Yeah, trust, dude. That's so dope. Because again, it just goes to show that like life really does reward you when you have the courage to just do it and not just sit on your ass and just wait around and actually just commit to something with the heart. So I guess one of the questions that I really continue. What do you got?
I'm just saying that's a really important thing I want to say during all of this is that what it takes to jump off a business, to make a small business actually start working, or to especially try to introduce a new food item to people. People are creatures of habit. I mean, they're used to what they're used to. But trying to tell them about something brand new is a little bit challenging sometimes. And so that's what this was with Sweet Cakes. And I went underground. When I say underground, like my friends still, they all answer the phone. I have not been out to a club, to a spot, to a lounge, to a bar, to a social like long before COVID. I had to put myself on self-imposed asylum and give this 100% of myself. And it's a huge, huge sacrifice. Make no mistake about it. There is no work-life balance. There's no security net. There's no, and so that's a big gamble. And I want people to understand, like as an artist, I worked 10 years to become an artist. And I think I have some, underlying artistic talent or something that I really worked on cultivating. But as an artist, you work at least that hard times two because you don't get paid for what you do correctly. You know what I mean? So like you invest all of that time and all that energy and all that grind, all that hustle. And then at the end of it, the product that you put out, required like years of living to generate that kind of energy, that experience, all that knowledge, and be able to process it. And so, any artist, anybody who's sacrificed their life for their art is on the brink of becoming an entrepreneur with a good idea. The only shift is you have to make it about something else and not yourself. And that's the hard part as an artist sometimes, that transition to making it about something else. But when you're willing to do that, the grind that it takes to become a small business entrepreneur, it is less than, in my experience, the grind that it would take to become an artist. The grind to become an artist is actually much harder. That in mind.
Interesting. Well, it just brings testament to the old, I can't remember where the saying comes from, but it's, there's great wealth in suffering and there's great suffering in wealth. And I think that's one of the things where it's like, if you actually utilize it for your growth and action and really transformation, healing, sky's the limit. And like, you all have to check out mysweetlittlecakes.com because you just go through that page and it's just like, you're salivating. You're salivating.
So before you go, will you please for us, will you just do one little poem for everybody so they can see your brilliant talent, please? Since you already said if I tell you to perform, you will. So do it.
All right, no problem. If I could rewind time, I would take nothing back. I would find my own footprints, then follow the track. It's not to say I've been perfect, far from that, but mistakes are not worthless. It's how you bounce back. Falls cannot make us crack. Once we've learned how to bend, based on how we step around all the traps we've stepped in, I've heard roll with the punches and steel sharpens steel. And the school of hard knocks, that's what strengthens our will. You might not get it now, friends, but in time you will. Like the ants in the field, just regroup and rebuild. Through all of the shakeups, mistakes, and the breakups, I finally figured out just what fiber I'm made of. If I could rewind time, I would take nothing back. I would find my own footprints, then follow the tracks.
Hey.
Right on.
Such another level after the life story, bro. Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
So wonderful. Well,
That
thank
was
you so much, everybody.
Thanks
This
so
is
much,
Jess
man.
Born Poet, the CEO and owner of My Sweet Little Cakes. We love and appreciate all of your talent so much. So everybody, please go to GoFundMe and make a donation now. And if you don't have money for a donation, you can still help this company by sharing this video and helping us spread the word. Share the GoFundMe page and let people know all about this incredible company.
Yeah, let's raise the cakes.
Yes,
Thank you, Poeina. Thank you, Peter. Wonderful to meet you. Wonderful to meet you. Nice to see you, Po.
Too,
Thanks,
bro.
guys.
Nice to
Nice
see
meeting
you.
you.
Of course.
All right.